On Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, the bass strings went silent for one of hard rock's most influential players. Francis Buchholz, the German bassist who laid down the thunderous low end on Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, and Wind of Change, passed away at 71 after a private battle with cancer. For 18 years and 12 albums, Buchholz was the foundation of the Scorpions during their meteoric rise from German hard rock hopefuls to international superstars who sold over 100 million records worldwide. But his story isn't just about fame and platinum albums. It's about a musician who started in a high school band, helped define an era of hard rock, walked away from the biggest band in the world over a principle, and then quietly built a second act that proved his passion was always about the music, not the spotlight. This is the story of Francis Buchholz, the bassist who rocked you like a hurricane. Background context. Arpon Forpishain 4. Ein. Francis was a lifelong musician who started playing bass in a high school band. TMZ, born in 1954 in Germany, Buchholz came of age during the late 1960s and early 1970s, when hard rock was exploding across Europe and America. Bands like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath were proving that heavy blues-based rock could fill arenas and change culture. He got together with Uli Jon Roth, Jürgen Rosenthal, and Achim Kirschning in the early 70s to form a band called Dawn Road, and they eventually joined Scorpions alongside Klaus Meine and Rudolf Schenker. TMZ, this merger was crucial to rock history. Dawn Road brought incredible musical chops. Uli Jon Roth was a guitar virtuoso who would go on to influence everyone from Yngwie Malmsteen to Metallica's Kirk Hammett. The Scorpions brought ambition, songwriting, and Klaus Meine's distinctive high-pitched vocals. Buchholz's first recording with the Scorpions was 1974's Fly to the Rainbow, and he stayed as a band member for 18 years, recording 12 albums during the band's most commercially successful period, Bob Weir. But the early years were a struggle. The Scorpions in the mid-1970s were a cult band, respected by rock fans and critics, but not yet breaking through commercially. They toured relentlessly, playing clubs and theaters across Europe. Buchholz and his bandmates lived on the road, perfecting their craft, building a following one show at a time. The breakthrough came in 1979 with the album Love Drive. Songs like Loving You Sunday Morning and Always Somewhere showed the Scorpions could write melodic hard rock that appealed beyond the heavy metal underground. But it was the albums that followed, Blackout, 1982, and Love at First Sting, 1984, that made them global superstars. Rock You Like a Hurricane, TMZ, from Love at First Sting became their signature song, a perfect storm of catchy riffs, driving rhythm, and arena-ready hooks. The song reached 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a staple of rock radio, sports arenas, and action movie soundtracks. Buchholz's bass lines on these albums were powerful and precise. He wasn't a flashy player, no extended solos or slap bass pyrotechnics. Instead, he provided exactly what the songs needed: solid, driving low end that gave the guitars room to soar while keeping the rhythm section locked tight with drummer Herman Rarebell. The Peak and the Departure, 4 Sorry, Bach, 7:30. Together, they sold over 15 million records in the US alone and over 100 million records worldwide. For his success with the Scorpions, Buchholz was awarded with over 50 gold and platinum awards for record sales all over the world. Bob Weir. By the late 1980s, the Scorpions were one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. They headlined massive festivals, sold out arenas worldwide, and became the first major Western rock band to tour the Soviet Union extensively. They were symbols of cultural exchange and the power of music to transcend political boundaries. Then came 1990's Crazy World. The 1990 ballad, Wind of Change, TMZ, became an anthem for the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. With its iconic whistled intro and hopeful lyrics about political change, Wind of Change reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the best-selling singles in history with over 14 million copies sold. This was Buchholz's last album with the Scorpions. Crazy World also features the song Kicks After 6, which is the only track where Buchholz was credited as a writer. Bob Weir. After 18 years of laying down bass lines for other people's songs, Buchholz finally had a songwriting credit on what would be his final Scorpions album. He left the band after a disagreement over band management in 1992. Bob Weir. Think about the timing of this. The Scorpions were at the absolute peak of their success. Wind of Change was everywhere. They were touring the world to massive crowds. Money was pouring in, and Francis Buchholz walked away over a disagreement about band management. Details of the disagreement haven't been fully publicized, but walking away from one of the biggest bands in the world at the height of their success because you disagree with how things are being run, that takes principle. That takes integrity. Many musicians would have swallowed their concerns and ridden the gravy train. Buchholz chose differently. The second act, 7:30 after 11. For many rock musicians, leaving a massively successful band means the end of their career, or at least the end of their relevance. But Buchholz didn't fade away. He built a second act that proved his love for music went far beyond fame and fortune. In 1978, Buchholz founded a PA and stage lighting rental company, Rock Sound, in Germany. Bob Weir. Even while playing with the Scorpions, he was thinking about the business side of music. The company began as a way to distribute special exponential loudspeaker cabinets Buchholz had developed, but also to provide employment for the Scorpions' roadies when not on tour. Bob Weir. This shows Buchholz's character. He wasn't just thinking about himself, but about providing stable employment for the crew members who made the Scorpions' shows possible. In 1996, Buchholz authored the book Bass Magic. He also worked as a record producer and consultant. Bob Weir. He was passing on his knowledge to the next generation of bassists, documenting techniques and approaches he'd developed over decades of professional playing. Buchholz reunited with Uli Roth for a tour of Europe and the United States in 2005 and 2006. Bob Weir. This reunion with his old Don Road bandmate proved that his departure from the Scorpions wasn't about giving up on music. It was about choosing when and how he wanted to play. In 2008, Buchholz worked with the band Dreamtide as their bass player and co-producer. The album Dream and Deliver was released in Japan, King Records, Europe, AOR Heaven, and worldwide on iTunes. Bob Weir. Then came the Temple of Rock years. In 2012, Buchholz toured with former Scorpions lead guitarist Michael Schenker for the European dates of his Temple of Rock Love Drive reunion tour, alongside former Scorpions drummer Herman Rarebell, with ex-Rainbow vocalist Doogie White and MSG's Wayne Findlay on guitars and keys. Bob Weir. This was a powerful reunion. 3 former Scorpions members playing together again, revisiting the Love Drive album that had launched them to international success. A DVD, Blu-ray, and double CD Temple of Rock, Live in Europe, was released for Christmas 2012. Bob Weir. Temple of Rock's next album, Bridge the Gap, featured Buchholz on bass and was released in November 2013. A European tour in 2013 was followed by concerts in Mexico and South America, and in 2014 they toured Japan and Europe. Their new album, Spirit on a Mission, was released in 2015, and the band toured US, Japan, and Europe. Early in 2016, they played more shows in UK and Scandinavia. Bob Weir. So from 2012 to 2016, Buchholz was actively touring and recording with Temple of Rock, playing to appreciative audiences around the world. He was in his 60s, decades removed from the peak of Scorpions fame, but still doing what he loved, playing bass, touring, connecting with fans. His final battle, 11 quests, is 13. Francis Buchholz has died at the age of 71 following a private battle with cancer. NME private battle is the key phrase here. Buchholz didn't announce his diagnosis. He didn't do a farewell tour. He didn't seek publicity or sympathy. He faced cancer the way he'd lived his life, with dignity, surrounded by his family, away from the spotlight. His family confirmed the news earlier today, Friday, 23rd, with the following statement. It is with overwhelming sadness and heavy hearts we share the news that our beloved Francis passed away yesterday after a private battle with cancer. He departed this world peacefully, surrounded by love. Our hearts are shattered. Throughout his fight with cancer, we stayed by his side, facing every challenge as a family, exactly the way he taught us. NME, exactly the way he taught us. This simple phrase reveals so much about Buchholz's character. He taught his family to face challenges together, to stay united, to handle difficulties with grace and strength. To his fans around the world, we want to thank you for your unwavering loyalty, your love, and the belief you placed in him throughout his incredible journey. You gave him the world, and he gave you his music in return. Though the strings have gone silent, his soul remains in every note he played and in every life he touched. NME. The tributes came quickly. Upon hearing the news of Buchholz's death, Scorpions members Rudolf Schenker, Klaus Meine, and Matthias Jabs paid tribute to their former bandmate on Instagram. We have just received the very sad news that our longtime friend and bass player, Francis Buchholz, has passed away, read the post. His legacy with the band will live on forever, and we will always remember the many good times we have shared together. Bob Weir note that they called him our longtime friend. First, bass player, second. Despite the disagreement that led to his departure in 1992, there was clearly still respect and affection between Buchholz and his former bandmates. Buchholz lived in Hanover with his wife Hella. They had a son and twin daughters, Bob Weir. He built a family, ran a business, authored a book, toured when he wanted to, and lived life on his own terms. Analysis Quo 13 and 15. Us. So what can we learn from Francis Buchholz's life and career? First, success doesn't have to mean sacrificing your principles. Buchholz left the Scorpions at the peak of their commercial success because he disagreed with how the band was being managed. He could have stayed silent, collected his checks, and retired wealthy. Instead, he walked away. That takes courage. Second, there's life after the spotlight. Many musicians who leave or get kicked out of successful bands spend the rest of their lives bitter, telling anyone who'll listen about how they were mistreated. Buchholz didn't do that. He built a second career with Temple of Rock, worked as a producer and consultant, wrote a book, and ran a successful business. He proved you can be happy and fulfilled without being at the top of the charts. Third, you can be hugely influential without being flashy. Francis Buchholz never had a hit bass solo. He wasn't known for technical pyrotechnics or showmanship, but his solid, driving bass lines were the foundation for some of the biggest rock songs of the 1980s. Sometimes the most important contributions are the ones that don't call attention to themselves. Fourth, dignity matters. Buchholz battled cancer privately, surrounded by family, without seeking publicity or sympathy. He lived with dignity, and he died with dignity. In an era of social media oversharing, there's something admirable about handling your struggles privately. Finally, good work endures. Though the strings have gone silent, his soul remains in every note he played and in every life he touched. NME Francis Buchholz's bass playing will live on in those recordings forever. Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, Wind of Change. These songs will be played on radio, in arenas, at parties, and in cars for generations to come. That's immortality. His actual achievements: 15 Pine, 16, 30. Let's be clear about what Francis Buchholz actually accomplished in his 71 years. He was a core member of the Scorpions for 18 years, from 1974 to 1992, during their most commercially successful period. He played on 12 studio albums with the band. He helped the Scorpions sell over 100 million records worldwide and over 15 million in the United States alone. He received over 50 gold and platinum awards for record sales around the world. He played bass on some of the most iconic hard rock songs ever recorded. Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, Big City Nights, Still Loving You, Wind of Change, and dozens of others that defined 1980s hard rock. He co-wrote Kicks After Six, proving he could contribute creatively when given the opportunity. After leaving the Scorpions, he founded Rock Sound, a successful PA and stage lighting rental company that provided employment for roadies and technical crew. He authored Bass Magic, sharing his knowledge and techniques with aspiring bassists. He toured and recorded with Uli Jon Roth, Dreamtide, and Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock, proving his musical relevance long after leaving his most famous band. He raised a family, a son and twin daughters, with his wife Hella in Hanover, Germany. And perhaps most importantly, he maintained his integrity and dignity throughout his career, making decisions based on principle rather than profit. Conclusion, 1630-18, Seyss. On January 22, 2026, Francis Buchholz passed away peacefully, surrounded by love, after a private battle with cancer. He was 71 years old. Though the strings have gone silent, his soul remains in every note he played and in every life he touched. NME Francis Buchholz never sought to be the center of attention. He was a bassist, a supporting player by definition. But without his solid, driving low end, the Scorpions' soaring guitar solos and Klaus Meine's high vocals wouldn't have had the foundation they needed to create magic. He played on albums that sold 100 million copies. He received 50 gold and platinum awards. He helped create songs that became anthems for a generation and soundtracks for moments of historical change. And when it was time to leave, when he disagreed with how things were being run, he walked away, even though it meant leaving millions of dollars on the table. He chose principle over profit. Then he built a second act, touring with Temple of Rock, running a business, writing a book, working as a producer. He proved that life after stardom can be fulfilling if you're doing it for the right reasons. He faced cancer privately, with his family by his side, the way he'd taught them to face challenges, together with strength and dignity. His legacy with the band will live on forever, and we will always remember the many good times we have shared together. Bob Weir, the Scorpions, said in their tribute, "Put on Rock You Like a Hurricane." Listen to that bass line, solid, powerful, driving the song forward without calling attention to itself. That's Francis Buchholz. That's what he gave us. The strings may have gone silent, but the music plays on. Rest in power, Francis. You rocked us like a hurricane, and we'll never forget it.